Hello and welcome to Out of Spec Reviews. Today we are taking a look at two electrified crossovers that you might be cross-shopping. The first is the Toyota RAV4 Prime and the second is the Tesla Model Y. Should you go full electric or plug-in hybrid? That's what we're here to find out. Now you may be thinking to yourself, isn't the Model Y an expensive Tesla? Yes, you'd be absolutely correct. This car is $49,900. And when I say this car, I don't mean this exact one, it's one similar. This is a Model Y Performance. However, for the sake of this comparison, the Performance is no different than the base dual motor. The only thing you get are these 21-inch Uber turbine wheels that you got to worry about curbing and hitting potholes. But for the sake of comparison, the Model Y is the same car regardless of the powertrain you choose, the dual motor or the Performance. So for the sake of this comparison, pretend this one's 49 grand. This one over here, the RAV4 Prime, starts at about $38,000 and we'll go up from there. The SE, which is this car here, is the entry-level trim. This one has a few options on it, such as a moonroof, heated seats, things like this. This one was about $42,000 and you can get them into the mid-40s. So you can have an optioned up RAV4 Prime or a base Model Y, roughly within a couple $1,000s of each other. So this is a true cost comparison here. These are cars that will be competing against each other. The one massive thing Toyota has going for itself is it still qualifies for the $7,500 federal tax credit here in the United States. It's something that Tesla has run out of credits for at this point, but this car you get the full $7,500, and if you live in states like Colorado or New Jersey, you get an extra $4,000 or $5,000 credit on top of that from the state, respectively. Let's take a tour around the Model Y. I'll show you a little bit about this car. I'm sure you've seen a lot of Model Y content if you're watching this video, but to take you around, this is a relatively stock Model Y. It's a 5-seat configuration. Because it is a full electric powertrain, EV only, you have a front trunk, a really spacious, nice cabin on the inside, gorgeous glass roof, and then a ton of trunk space. What I think the difference here, what you're gonna see, is the Model Y is a little bit more refined, a little bit more of a status symbol is why people buy them. I think this is something where you have to buy into the Tesla way of life. You're using the Tesla app, you're using the superchargers, and it's sort of a lifestyle choice. But if you're not into changing your entire life for your vehicle, this might be a great option for you over here, the RAV4 Prime, and specifically this one is the SE. This car with the federal tax credit is very reasonable. The biggest problem off the bat with the RAV4 Prime is they're not making enough of them. There was a huge fuss when this car came out. Everyone was so excited that we would see finally a serious range plug-in hybrid from Toyota, and we'll get into the range figures in a little bit here, but they're only bringing 5,000 in for the first year. It's a little disappointing, I think, especially because it seems like such a great package. Rather than that car being fueled by electricity alone, plugging into your home or plugging into a DC fast charger such as a supercharger, this car can be powered in two different ways. The first is by going to a gas station and driving it like a car that many owners are used to up to this point. You just put in fuel and you go. However, on this side of the car over here, follow me around, there is an extra flap, and this flap is how you fill it up with electricity. So it has a J1772 charging port right here. Pretty clumsy door, might I add. This is a lot of space to have for a J1772 charger. Don't ask me why it's not this nice, elegant solution, and closing it feels really poor. But you could, in theory, do your daily commute with the electric range of this car and never use gasoline. So is it the best of both worlds? Is it you can drive an EV, but when you go on a trip, you don't have to worry about charging? Or is it the worst of both worlds where you get limited performance and electric range and you don't get really that good of an internal combustion car? We're definitely gonna figure that out today, and we're gonna compare it to the big dog over here, the Model Y, that seems to just be good at everything. So let's put these two head to head right here on Out of Spec Reviews. Let's take a tour and look at the specs on the RAV4. As I already mentioned, the price is right around $38,000 starting. Let's say you're going to end up in that 44, 45 range. Again, dealers are not discounting the RAV4 Prime right now, mainly because they're in such production constraints. So Walking around the car, this one I really love because it is the entry-level model. It's the SE, and after my first glance with it, I'm not really sure if you need any more. Come with me, take a look. You can see it has LED projector headlights as standard. It has these 18-inch alloy wheels, which look really good. The owner of this particular car, who kindly lent it to us, as a YouTube channel. I will link it right here. Make sure you go subscribe. And you can see he's modified the car in a tasteful way, I'd say. Plasti dip badges, red calipers, looks good. These little rain guards, all things that I think make this car look a little bit unique. And you'll notice there's a trailer hitch on the back as well, and that's because he uses it for towing. Now, the rated towing capacity for this car is only 2,500 pounds, but that to be said, the Model Y isn't that much more. It's 3,500 pounds on that car. So really, are you going to buy this car and tow with it? Maybe, but I think both of them will have plenty of towing capacity for what you would like to do. Now, this is where the biggest difference comes into play between the SE and the XSE, the top trim of the RAV4 Prime, and that's to do with the charger that we spoke about earlier. This charger on the entry-level car like this can only charge the high voltage battery pack. It's about 18 kilowatt hours gross capacity. Toyota lets you have access to about 15 kilowatt hours or so, and it takes a long time. The reason it takes a long time is it's limited to 3.3 kilowatts on the base car. So you go home, you know, that's plenty to charge it up overnight. But if you're really trying to maximize your electric driving range, 3.3 kilowatts is not enough to charge up a 15 kilowatt hour battery pack like that. But if you option this car up to the XSE, you get a 6.6 kilowatt onboard charger, doubling your charging speed. The same electric powertrain, 42 miles of EPA rated range. We're gonna test to see how far we can get on the car, obviously, in electric only mode. And that seems like a reasonable upgrade if the costs work out. That's really the big thing. Other than that, the interior, you know, as the cloth interior on this, you would upgrade to leather and things like this all around. But I would say, you know, this is a hardy vehicle. I think you're buying this as a cost option. If you really wanted to spend a ton of money, you would just buy a Model X anyway, wouldn't you? So I don't think you need to option this up too much. The SE seems to be the sweet spot. The only downside is that charger. Now let's go around the Model Y. $49,900 starting price on this car. Again, 330 miles of range or so. And again, not this particular configuration. We're pretending this one is the dual motor all-wheel drive. Again, it's the same. I'll show you around the car very quick. I'm loading up the Tesla app. I will pop the front trunk here. And under here you can see, instead of an engine, I'll show you under the RAV4 in a bit, you get extra storage. Your only maintenance item on a full electric car is this right here. It's your washer fluid. You keep that topped up and you are good to go. Coming around, you can see this is nothing like a traditional car. This is not a Toyota in here. This is not a Mercedes. It's a Tesla. And, you know, forgive the towels on the seats, but basically this is what you know from the Model 3. It is just a little bit bigger in the Y. Gorgeous glass roof inside, and it's just a Spartan interior. All of your controls are done on the touch screen. I think people make a bigger deal about that than it actually is. I certainly was one of those that was like, I don't want to have everything controlled by the touch screen. And then guess what? It turned out to not be an issue. Under here, this being the 5-seat configuration, means you have underfloor storage here in the rear and also under this panel in the front, which is very nice. And the owner of this car keeps his charging cables and things up there. If you select the 7-seat option, you lose that forward underfloor storage. But really a totally different car. This car has a thunk of something solid. It feels honestly very well screwed together, much more so than Model 3. And it's starting to have a European bank vault type feeling. It's not quite there yet. It's no Audi e-tron, but it is getting there. This, on the other hand, again, much less expensive, but feels less expensive. You know, you can hear the hollow in the doors, the door knock test. You got to do it. I'll do it over here. Much more of a solid thunk, right? And this one's just a little bit, I don't know, doesn't really seem that great to me. But in terms of cost, you cannot deny that this car is going to be able to get you around all of your daily driving, mostly electric, and it's going to cost a lot less than that Tesla right over there. You join me on the inside of the RAV4 Prime, and this is where things get a little complicated. Now, you can certainly get in this car, hit start, throw it in drive, and go wherever you need to go. But to optimize this car, it does get a little more complicated with that. For starters, I'm gonna just look at the shifter, right? So it's a traditional shifter. You have a sport mode, and then you can shift up and down the gears. It is backwards though. It should be pull back to upshift. In this case, it's push forward to upshift. Manufacturers always get this wrong, and it drives me nuts. You also have tons of different driving modes. Keep in mind, this has a combustion engine paired with that electric motor, and that in total makes over 300 horsepower. It's not slow. This is actually the quickest accelerating Toyota other than the Supra. But you have so many modes. You have auto, you have EV, you have HV, which is hybrid vehicle or electric vehicle. Then you have charge hold, so you can hold the charge level in the battery pack and use it for later. You can push and hold this and then charge up the battery from the gasoline engine. And then you have eco, normal, and sport mode and trail mode. So there's just a lot going on here for you to choose. Now, someone like me, I love optionality. I love a split personality vehicle. I love to dial it into my settings, but someone like you may love this, or you may just want to get in, put it in drive, and not think about anything. And that is where I will join you over in the Model Y. And you join me in what I like to say is quiet serenity. This is a total refresh to anyone else's interior. Any other automaker, they're putting buttons here or there. You get in here and it's like, whoa. This is truly remarkably different. You have a steering wheel in front of you, you have a shifter, turn signals, and those are the extent of the buttons that you need to drive this car. Everything else is done here on this screen. But what I think a lot of people don't realize about the Model 3, the Model Y, even the other models like S and X, which are a little bit more traditional, is you never really have to touch this thing. You just get in, put your foot on the brake, look, the car is on now, put it in drive, and that is literally it. There is no start button, there's no extra stuff going on, there's no modes. You kind of set it up once here and there, and then you're kind of set. This is, I really think, you know, when people drive electric cars, they start to imagine, oh, am I going to be worrying about range, where I need to go? It's the exact opposite. You just stop thinking about driving and you show up at your destination more prepared for your meetings because you're not thinking about your car, and it's really great. Now, how does this happen? All you have to do is put in your destination here in the screen, and the car figures out your charging plan for you. It's just way simpler than anything else. Absolutely love it. All right, let's take a look in the trunk of the Model Y, and we'll take a look at the room. Yep, pretty good. Definitely fit, no problem. Okay, let's do the same with the RAV. I don't know if this has a power trunk or not. Yes, that's nice. Lovely. And there's some things. Oh, this is kind of interesting. Oh, this is an aftermarket floor mat, I see. And is there underfloor storage here?
Yep, just a little bit.
Oh, a spare tire.
Yeah.
Wow, so the RAV4's got room. I'm not going to jump in this one, but I would say based off of my eye measurement, it feels about the same as Model Y. And if anything, the roof does seem a little bit lower on the inside, but it doesn't have this strong taper as the Model Y, which really bothers me, especially with dogs in the back. I like a squared off hatchback style machine, and seats fold down in both cars, obviously. Basically, they're practical. You're going to be able to put whatever you need to put inside of them, and then you can always tow with either of them. So plenty of room for your average person's daily life. Into the back seat we go. The front seat is set where I normally sit, and wow, plenty of room. This is genuinely my first time sitting back here. I have plenty of headroom. Knee room touches the seat, but it can absorb a lot. So I'm not, you know, typically being constrained by the front seat. Again, I'm 6'1", 2 USB ports here in the back, USB-A's they look like, and rear air vents, perfect for the Ubers. I hate getting in the back of Ubers and not having rear air vents. This is perfect. You also have a center armrest with 2 cup holders built into it, and it's nice. I will say, the only thing that I wish this car had that it doesn't is a larger sunroof. Something like a panoramic roof would really enhance the open feel of this car. It's kind of silly that they make you pay for a little tiny sunroof, but they don't give you a big pano roof. Let's go check out the Tesla's back seat. Into the back seat on the Model Y. Again, front seat set where I want to go. and wow, instantly it feels less comfortable. I'm noticing the seats feel way less supportive. They don't come out far enough, so the bottom thigh is not supported as well. But visually, it's a much nicer place to be. I mean, it's airy in here. Of course, the white seats help with this. This giant pano roof in the Model Y is really nice. That particular version on the SE is not available with a pano roof as mentioned, but in the XSE trim, you can get an optional panoramic roof that I'd really love to sample and try out. Similar to the RAV4, you have a center armrest with cup holders in the middle, a little bit of a different design. This one has 2 USB ports in the rear as well, but instead of USB-A, there are USB-C. And yeah, where would I prefer to spend time in? Actually, if I close my eyes from a comfort perspective, the RAV4 has to take the backseat win. But with my eyes open, this is a much more airy and better experience. So man, I'd say it's a tie in the back seats. That's a tough one to go. Long distance trip though, I'd take the RAV4. And now it's time to sum up the video between the RAV4 Prime SE and the Tesla Model Y dual motor. And so this is a tough one because they are both about the same size, they have about the same features, but they accomplish the way they get around totally differently. This is much more traditional, but still electrified and kind of into the future. This is like driving a 2040 spaceship. It really depends on what you want to have. I will say though, if you are a budget conscious shopper, the RAV4 makes so much sense on paper. You're gonna have to drive so far to justify the all-electric Model Y for a fuel savings proposition that this is gonna be the car you buy with your bank account, but this is the car you buy with your heart. This is the emotional buy and this is the smart buy if you're comparing these two cars. Which would I personally rather have? Well, I love the idea of an all-electric rocket ship, so I personally would take the Tesla Model Y, but I can certainly appreciate the RAV4 plug-in hybrid, and I love that 300 horsepower and that it's the second fastest Toyota and it's just the small SUV. I love them both, but that's what I'm taking home. Thanks so much for watching this. If you want to see driving impressions and track reviews and other things on these cars, we'll have a link in the description to other comparisons and reviews that we do here on our Out of Spec network of channels. And stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.